right, so welcome everyone. Again, I have this ridiculous microphone on until my new one comes. So it probably bothers me more than it bothers you. But welcome everyone. This is a practice that I've really been looking forward to, a practice on truth. And before we begin, I just thought it might be kind of nice to see how the topic of boundaries has really landed for you this week since we began our root chakra practices. I had a few of you email me about this topic and asking around, how do we set up boundaries without sinking into those lower vibrations, without those lower frequencies? How do we protect ourselves from those lower frequencies? And then there were also a few discussions that came in around how energizing and empowering it was to set boundaries. And, for me personally, I live in a household where our political points of view could not be more polarized between my father and I. And I learned my lesson really quickly that I needed to set a boundary. Do not engage in conversations about Trump or racism with my father, even when I strongly disagreed with him. And so let me clarify, I'm not saying that I'm not allowed to talk about this or bring this topic up in my household with this boundary. My boundary is that when I feel emotionally charged, it is not the time to react. Okay? Rather than, engaging in a conversation where I actually do more damage than good, and then we stay in that polarized point of view, what I want to be able to do is come a day or two later when I'm more brief, I'm more concise, I'm more strategic with the outcome that I want, so that what I say actually inspires a new perspective, right? And if you find yourself in this very similar situation, Saeed, who's on the call right now, he had a quote that I really loved, and he wanted to share it with you guys. It was 3 options when it comes to dealing with an undesirable situation, and it's according to Eckhart Tolle. The first is to take action and change it. The second is to remove yourself from the situation. And the third is to accept it, surrender, and that's when you become one with it. And then he ends the quote saying that everything else is insanity. So if you think about taking charge of your boundary, and you were to say it once, you were to say it quietly, you were to say it in peace, that's really taking action and changing it. But if you chose to do something where you had to remove yourself from the situation, right? Because we all know that removing yourself from that situation is an act of kindness towards yourself. These conversations that we're having to have in our household wreak havoc on us, right? Right? Now imagine being a Black person and dealing with that your entire life. So an act of taking a step back, when all else fails, just surrendering to that and then coming back to the experience once that boundary is set, so that you can actually not push against someone's life force energy. But in that moment, if you are being pushed and you are pushing against them, then it becomes your lesson and not theirs. They're never going to understand your point of view because you are resisting it. And so that's why I really loved this Eckhart Tolle quote that he shared. I just want to invite you that you wait until the time is right to really speak your point of view, and you do it with such grace and you do it with such kindness that it makes them think, wow, that's an inspiring way to think. And I think that as your boundary work really continues, that this is it's an art form. Boundary work is an art form. And we'll have more space at the end of our practice today to share more, but I want to really get into why the topic of truth next into boundaries. What I really should have called this sequence was lying, but I thought truth was a much more positive spin on the idea. And, most of us love to think that we're kind, that we're generous, that we're loving, we're forgiving, we're noble. But there's a trend in those of us who follow the spiritual life where we become more self-obsessed and we think that we know more because we're doing this type of work. And the teachings on truth are hands down the most powerful teachings in Angelus' book. It's what healed me of my addictions, right? Without a doubt, truth-telling. Because it revealed to me that I wasn't that loving and kind. I wasn't that forgiving. I wasn't that generous. And that there was a dark side of myself that I first had to really accept, right? Tattle on myself, confess, reveal aspects of my personality that I wasn't necessarily proud of. And by doing that, then I could really set out to change my habits, eradicate my addictions, even shift my relationships. And so this entire sequence that we're practicing today was really born from my studies with Lauren Zander. She wrote a book called Maybe It's You. And the joke is the maybe, because it is you. It's always us in the equation. The topic is truth. And the problem is that, most of us aren't even really conscious of our lying or the negative impact that lying has on our self-esteem, on our confidence, on our career, on our health. The thing is that if we can't trust ourselves with the whole truth and nothing but the truth, then who can we believe? And the fact is that we can't, because every single one of us lies. Stay with me for just a second, because this is a pretty radical concept. And there's that seemingly harmless white lie where someone says, hey, did you read this book? And you say, oh yeah, I've read that book, but you actually didn't. To the outright lie where you tell your boss, oh, I'm so sorry, I'm late, I got stuff in traffic, when in reality you were scrolling social media in the bathroom. There's that outright lying, but then there's also lying by omission, where they didn't ask, so I didn't tell, which to me is like the slimiest of them all. That one just gives me, ugh. That's the one I like the least. And then there's lying where you exaggerate. You try to add a bit more pizzazz to your story so that whoever's listening to you is just a little bit more impressed by who you are. And then there is the lying by confrontation, where you don't want to get into an argument, so you're just going to tell them what they want to hear, and then hope that they don't notice that your voice kind of goes an octave higher, like, oh yeah, no, yeah, he's great. And then there's even that one other extra layer where we're going to take it next week, because this is happy, fun times, you guys. We're going to go into the deep, deep, deep rooted lies. Things where you're never going to talk about for as long as you live. Yeah, unfortunately, I have one that I can think of right now. It makes me disgusted to think about, right? They're so hidden. They're so goofy. They're so embarrassing. They're so upsetting to you. They're offensive, but you would rather die than confess it. And that's where we're going to go next week. But let's just see if we could, drop down one layer deeper into the root chakra, because what does this all have to do with our practices today? Why do we practice this with the root chakra? And the thing is that this inner dialogue, whatever you're saying to yourself, whatever belief systems you have, whatever theories, whatever lies, if that's what's happening on the inside, then what does the outside world get to see of you? And the question I'm posing in class is it really better that nobody knows your truth? Like, really? Is that the best? There is a real you. And every lie, whether you think it's big or small, is breaking that connection between the real you. So when you're busy managing that false reality, did I tell this person that? What do I have to remember to say to them? Who am I pretending to be? Right? What you're actually doing is you're pretending that your inner world doesn't exist, and you're neglecting who you are. And when you neglect who you are, that really weakens your foundation. right? How your feet stand on the earth. And when you have a weak foundation, then you become more vulnerable. And then you fluctuate between these different levels of security. So for those of you who practice the safety sequence in the first round of chakra studies, you start to understand that if you can't even feel safe with yourself, you become more dependent on someone else. And that makes you vulnerable. So we're starting really today with our bodies, because this is a physical practice. The root chakra is very physical. And I'm not saying all this stuff so that you can go and beat yourself up, because we all do it. Okay? I'm bringing it into the conversation so that we can stop it and we can start telling the truth about you, right? Like you've never done before. And then we start to connect the dots between the real reason that you don't believe in yourself, the real reason why you don't have your dreams, the real reason why you can't fully trust yourself. Because in the outside world, you're not really being who you say you are. And so really what that does is it puts you in a bind. And the way that I'm presenting this topic is through a Vinyasa sequence that really teaches your body about that radical honesty. And the Vinyasa sequence is a way to really stand in your truth by bringing your attention to your feet. So I'm going to be cueing a lot of attention to your feet. And even though these postures are incredibly challenging, they're challenging by design, because when we're challenged, that's usually when we hide. So try not to avoid the discomfort in this sequence. You know, I'm asking you to really feel where you're stuck in that partial truth, particularly in the more challenging binding postures. We do bound angle pose. And rather engage in a practice of really connecting through those stable legs, so that when you press down through the feet, it opens up the heart more clearly. And you'll feel that in your body. And then when we have that open heart, we can take that leap of faith into revealing the real you. And it's a leap of faith from bound ankle pose at the back of your mat to stepping into birds of paradise at the front of your mat. And I had to remind myself what birds of paradise felt like. So if you haven't done birds of paradise in ages, you're not alone. I'm there with you. And it's okay. Right? I've been doing so much Kundalini lately that I forgot what a chaturanga was. But we're going to get our body back into it today. So if you think back at your Kundalini boundary practice that we did last Sunday, where boundaries is a practice of preserving your energy, about generating energy, observing where you're getting drained, observing where your energy is getting leaked. Truth is now a practice of really facing your fears and the seduction of deceit. So how seductive is it to actually lie to make yourself look better? Because in your body, what you're exploring is the power of truth and the power of deceit through the expression of the posture. Right? Which is really ultimately how you express yourself in that posture is going to give you that ability to keep your word. And if that feels too abstract right now, just come back to grounding and stabilizing through your feet. Everything's interconnected here. The way that you command yourself on the mat is the same way you command yourself in your everyday. Finding that alignment to your truth. Finding that alignment in your feet. So it's all symbolic work today. And what the standing and the bound postures do is they really demand that you become strong enough to really seek that truth rather than running away from it. Okay? Now, Vinyasa is a very smooth transition between the postures that's paired with the breath. So the inhale is about opening and expanding the body, and then the exhale is about lengthening and contracting. So your inhale, your belly moves out, and your exhale, your belly moves in. So even if you find that there's a posture that you are never going to get into, you have even no desire to even come into it, then what you're going to do is you're going to find that expansion and contraction through the breath, right? The metronome of the inhale and the exhale is going to synchronize you to whatever the practice is, whether you're in birds of paradise or not. Okay. One other thing I want to say before we get into it is that no matter what level you're practicing today, remember you have an emotional level, you have a mental level, a physical level. So even if you don't take the bind, or even if you don't rise up into that birds of paradise, that inhale and exhale is going to increase the circulation in your body. You're going to cleanse, some of the shame and the guilt that lying really conjures up and holds. And then you're going to feel sort of those hidden thoughts or those hidden emotions release. So if at any time during the practice you need to come back into child's pose, I highly recommend child's pose. A lot of child's pose in this practice. So take it as it's needed. Even think of it as like holding a yin posture. Whatever gives you that opportunity to feel more secure and more stable. It's about really fully showing up who you are. That is your right when it comes to the root chakra. Matching your inner world with the outer world. And honoring your body. Okay? So if your body's giving you a sincere no, honor that truth. And let Muladhara today really teach you how to walk that path that you would normally cowered away from. Because all of it's welcome today. Right? Whatever that pure and honest form is. So I think there might be one question. What is your relationship to the balance between kindness and truth that can potentially trigger or even hurt? Yeah. Of course, Marie brings a big, heavy hitter question in. Yeah, I mean, it's intuitive, but to me, and knowing my situation, even when the truth hurt, the truth always calmed me. So I mean, I would just bring it back into yourself, is that even if you know it's going to potentially trigger or hurt someone, I think in the end, everyone's going to be grateful that the truth was shared. Yeah, and then the nice balance between ahimsa, kindness towards yourself, and truthfulness, satya. Good. And then is the false you the ego? I don't know if I understand fully, Saeed. But the ego is, as I understand it, as fear. And so fear versus love. Yeah, the fear would be the false you, where love would be the true you, if I understood correctly. Good. Okay, so are we ready to get into this and see what it brings? Okay, if you have frankincense, go ahead and grab that oil. And we're going to make our way back to our mats. I do have music with the sequence today, but I'm going to just feel and see if it's appropriate. And if it's too much at any time, just let me know and I'll turn it down. We're actually going to begin in child's pose. So what I have is a blanket that I'm going to put right in the middle of my mat. This will cushion the knees, big toes touching, knees apart. And the frankincense that we're using is called the oil of truth. And just one smell of it, they say it really invites you to let go of those lower vibrations, let go of the lies, let go of the negativity. And as you breathe in, you're breathing in a new perspective that's based on light and truth. And when you're ready, go ahead and come down to your mat. Resting the third eye. And with your lips closed, go ahead and engage in the Ujjayi breathing. I'm going to take a deep breath in through the nose. And out through the nose. Good, breathing in through the nose. And out through the nose. And this time we're going to inhale for the count of 4, 3, 2, 1. And we're going to pause at the top of the inhale for the count of 4, 3, 2, 1. And then exhaling for 4, 3, 2, 1. Holding the breath out for 4, 3, 2, 1. Breathing in, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold the breath in for 4, 3, 2, 1. And breathing out for 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold the breath out for 4, 3, 2, 1. Breathing in for 4, 3, 2, 1. Last time, hold the breath in for 4, 3, 2, 1. And then breathing out for 4, 3, 2, 1. Holding the breath out for 4, 3, 2, 1. And then just gently relax the belly. And you're coming into that natural breath. And then use the breath to just scan the body. From the feet to the crown of your head. And just feel if you can feel places in the body that are weighted down or dark. So whether you've fibbed to your boss about why you were sick, or if you manipulated things in your favor or faked your true feelings, just feel like everything is in the past now. And we're just getting present on our mat right now, the here and the now. And just searching in your body for these half-truths, these contradictions. And if you can, see if you can just name a broken promise. Whatever's in your space today. Where are you not being real? So today is the day that we're going to come into our truth. So whatever it is that you're locating, just draw that into your heart, offer it a little bit of gratitude. In order for any sort of change to happen, there has to be an appreciation for it. So thank you, my lying. Thank you, my manipulating. It served me for a while. Now I'm ready to stand in my truth. And then take a deep inhale through the nose. And we're going to start to come into some movement. From the child's pose, you're going to come up onto your hands and knees. And as you stack the shoulders over the wrist, arch your spine, lift your chin, coming into cow. And then on the exhale, we're going to press back into child's pose. Inhale, cow. And exhaling, child's pose.
You're on TV.
Good. Inhaling, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold. Exhaling, 4, 3, 2, 1. And hold the breath out. Inhaling, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold. Exhaling, 4, 3, 2, 1. And pause. Good. Keep going on your own. Inhaling for the count of 4. Holding the breath in for 4. Exhaling for 4. And then next time that you come up, go ahead and tuck your toes and press your hips up and back into downward facing dog. Good, and then as you drop your knees down, come back into that cow posture. So a slight pause, and then exhaling back, downward facing dog. So we're moving from cow into downward facing dog. Facing dog. We're going to walk our feet or our hands to our feet, coming into a forward fold at the back of our mat. Just bend your knees a lot. Rest your ribs on your thighs and grab opposite elbows. Breathing out through the nose. In through the nose. And breathing out. And you stay in your forward fold. And take your right elbow to the outside of your right calf. And then lift the left elbow up to stand. And moving into sundial. Left elbow comes down to the left calf. Your body moves through center. Right elbow, right calf. Lead with the left elbow up and around. Left elbow down. Move your torso through the center. And then back up again. Exhaling down. Inhaling up. So you should start to feel that synchronization between the breath and the movements, where nothing is rushed, and the breath makes it effortless. Come down to center, go ahead and reverse the sundial. Left elbow, left calf. Lead with the right elbow up and down. Stay in that forward fold. Just unlock your hands. And we're going to bend the knees and come down into Malasana Yogic Squat. Drawing our hands in Anjali Mudra in front of the heart. And you're going to interlace the fingers and then sweep the arms up overhead. Come to stand. And then crescent moon to the right. Inhale, center. Exhale, down. Good. Inhale, rise. Exhale, crescent moon to the left. Inhale, center. Exhale, down. Here we go. Inhale up. Exhale, bend. Inhale, center. Exhale, down. Inhale up. Exhale, bend. Inhale, center. Exhale, down. Good. One more time each side. Beautiful. Downward facing dog. We're spreading the fingers wide, keeping a nice bend in the knees, especially if you have tight hamstrings. Good. We're going to bend our knees, look forward, or step or jump the legs up to the top of the mat. Inhale with a flat back, so your fingertips can be on the floor, they can be on blocks, or you can place your hands on shins. Good. You feel the tops of your thigh bones being pulled apart, so the pelvic floor feels open, reaching your heart forward, dropping the chin in towards the chest. And then exhale, forward fold, the slight micro bend in the knees. Then we're going to brush our fingertips on the floor. Inhale, Utkatasana, chair pose. So when you look down, you should be able to see your toes. Weight of the body's in the heels of your feet. Drop your shoulders down, look up, gaze up. Then on the exhale, we're going to take our hands behind the sacrum, interlace our fingers, and exhale, forward fold, arms come up and over. Feel your shoulder blades lift towards the sky, and let the crown of your head reach for the earth. You're going to bend your knees. Again, find that flat back so that your ribs are resting on your thighs. And find a spot in front of you that you can focus into, a drishti on the floor. Shift the weight into the right foot and step the left foot towards the back of the mat. You're going to drop the back knee down, coming into a deep runner's lunge, and then opening the heart. So if you feel wobbly, then press down through your feet. Bring your thumbs to your sacrum, squeeze your elbows together. And take 2 breaths here, breathing in and out of the pelvic floor. And slowly release. Step back into plank pose. Just take a breath at the top of your push-up here. Press through your heels, reach through your heart, lower down chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog or cobra. Press the tops of your feet into the mat. Squeeze your elbows in towards your ribs. And then tuck your toes, lift your hips, press back downward facing dog. And we're going to take 3 breaths here. Breathing out the negativity. Step or jump up to the top of the mat. Inhale with a flat back. Tops of your thigh bones pull apart. Chin drops in towards the chest. On your exhale, forward. Then brush your fingertips onto the mat. Utkatasana chair pose. Sinking down. Lifting up all 10 toes. Bring the weight of your body into your heels. Relax your shoulders and gaze out. We'll sweep the hands behind the sacrum, interlace our fingers, straighten the legs, forward fold, arms will come up and over. We're reaching our fingertips towards the sky, letting our head dangle towards the earth. Taking 2 deep breaths here. Focus your drishti on the floor and shift your weight into that left foot. Then step the right foot towards the back of the mat. Drop your back knee down and then open your heart. So let your feet settle into the earth. As you press your feet down, feel that opening of the heart. Bend our elbows, squeeze our elbows together, and take 2 deep breaths in and out of the pelvic floor. Just clearing some of the heaviness, some of the darkness that you've been carrying around. And slowly let your hands come down towards the mat. Step back into plank pose. Press through the heels, reach to the heart, and a lower down chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Just pausing here so the legs are strong, the heart is soft. Downward facing dog. So we're going to do that same sequence, just slightly faster paced, but keeping your synchronization with the breath. Bend the knees, look forward. Inhale, step or jump up to the top of the mat. Exhale, folding in. On the inhale, Utkatasana chair pose. Exhale, sink in. Good. Inhale, clasp your hands behind your sacrum. Open the heart. Exhale, forward fold, arms come up and over. Take 2 breaths here. Bend the knees, look forward. Shift into that right foot. Left foot steps back. Left knee drops down. Inhale, open chest. One more breath. Your hands will come down towards the mat. Chaturanga. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. One more deep breath. Bend the knees, look forward. Step or jump up to the top of the mat. Inhale with a flat back. Exhale, folding in. Inhale, rise to Utkatasana. Exhale, sink in. Inhale, clasp the hands behind the sacrum. We're going to open the heart. And use your exhale to bow forward in gratitude. Lifting the shoulder blades up, dropping the head down. Take one more deep breath in. Bending the knees, gazing forward. Shift the weight into that left foot. Right foot steps back. Back knee drops down. Inhale, open the chest. So there's a settling that happens here. You're starting to stand in that truth of the feet. Very clear connection to the earth. As the hands come down, just washing it out with a vinyasa. Inhale, opening your heart. Downward facing dog. So we're seeking truth here. We're not seeking the need to be right and for the other person to be wrong. Just redirecting that attention back onto ourselves, taking responsibility for what we feel. Starting to make that connection between who you are on the outside and what you feel on the inside. Bring our big toes to touch. Right leg's going to lift high to the sky. You can open this up into a 3-legged dog. Might feel really nice. Keep your left leg strong so that left quadricep is engaged. And we're going to float that foot through in between the hands. So keep your back knee lifted. And what I like to do is take blocks underneath my hands here. If you don't have blocks, you can use books or you can use cans. This creates a little bit more space in my belly. And I allows me to roll my shoulders back so there's a gentle opening across my chest. Good. Keep the left leg strong, so as if you're pressing through that left heel, and then watch how that trajects the heart forward more. We're going to come up into a modified Virabhadrasana 3, standing on that front leg and walking your blocks of your hands forward so that they're directly under the shoulders. And then take your outer right hip and move that hip towards the back of your mat, and then see if you can lengthen the right ribs forward. It's still pressing through that left foot. Left toes are pointing down. So watch that you're not opening your hips to the left, but you're actually dropping that left hip parallel with the right. It's harder, but it's worth it. And you can stay here for the next 2 breaths, or if you want, you can bring the hands up and clasp them behind the sacrum for a heart opening as well. And I find this easier if I micro bend my right knee. Ready, we're going to take that back foot down, setting up into Virabhadrasana 3. Clasp your hands behind the sacrum and come up into Warrior 1. And so just a modified version with the arms. We're clasping our hands behind the sacrum. And if you feel out of breath, take a moment, take a pause here to direct your exhale into your feet. To open your heart. So it takes a lot of courage to reveal those secrets. So see if you can find that opening in your body first. And then as you forward, just accept it. We were taught to lie at a really young age, right? Especially when your parents asked you if you ate that cookie. You didn't want to get in trouble, so you told them no. Lying protects us. So in this Silver Surfer, your torso is on the inside of that front thigh, your arms are up and over, and you're keeping your back leg working as hard as your front leg. We just have one more breath here. And then you can gently let your hands fall on the inside of that front foot and come up on the toes of your back foot. We're just going to let our forearms come down into lizard pose, and we have about 10 breaths here. And see if you can strike a balance here between what you're concealing and hiding and what you're ready to reveal. It's okay if you can't think of something off the top of your head. Instead, just look for where there's heaviness in the body, tightness, darkness. And then use the light of your breath here to open up and expand. Okay, dropping the back knee. So you're more than welcome to stay in this posture. For those of you who want to go a little bit deeper, I'm going to take your right, angle myself here. I'm going to take your right shoulder and hook it behind the right calf. So looping that hand. And you should be able to press your right shoulder into the back of that right calf, right, by lengthening your spine forward. And we're going to take our hands wide, so wider than the mat. And you're going to look forward and start to inch that left foot up and see if you can come into a standing split. Just lift the left leg high to the sky. So you're pressing through that right foot, you're extending through the left toes. This is a nice preparation for Birds of Paradise because it teaches you how to strengthen your legs. Good, and even if it's just for a nanosecond, smile because you did it. And then come back into safety, lizard pose. Very good. Good. We're going to take our right hand and reach around and grab a hold of our opposite foot. And just find that nice quad stretch. If that's too much of a stress for you, then just take your right hand on your right knee and spin your belly towards the sky. Good. One more breath here. Actually, let's take 2 more breaths. It feels too good. Good. And then gently come back. Downward facing dog. So you're more than welcome to flow through a vinyasa, or you can hold in child's pose, your choice. Inhale forward into plank. Chaturanga. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. So let downward facing dog be your resting posture. Regain that balance between the breath. Good. We're going to bring our big toes to touch. Left leg lifts high. Open it up into a 3-legged dog. Lift your right kneecap, engage your right quadricep, and notice how that stability allows you to breathe with much more ease, just by strengthening the legs. Float that foot through in between the hands, and allow your body to arrive. You catch your breath, sink your awareness from the feet into the earth, learning to stand in our truth. The more stable you can get the legs, the more confident you are in your body. We're going to take our hands on blocks if you have them, and then look forward. We're going to come to stand on that front knee, front leg. Bringing the blocks directly under the shoulders. And flex that back foot so that the right hip moves down, the left hip moves back, and your legs have never been stronger. Your heart has never been softer. I'm going to take 2 more breaths here, seeing if you can strike a balance between that strength without losing the groundedness. Good. If you want to come up into the full expression of the posture, clasping the hands behind the sacrum. Good. And then stepping back into Virabhadrasana 1, Warrior 1. Your feet are hip distance apart here. Clasping the hands behind the sacrum. And coming up into the Okay, you guys are doing really good. So just stay with this challenge here. Bend deep into that front knee. Open your heart. Then on the exhale, we're going to pull forward on the inside of that front leg. Shoulder blades lift, head drops, and you're pulling that outer left hip towards your right foot. Beautiful. One more breath. Good. Hands will come down on the inside of that front foot. Come up on the toes of the back foot. Looking to really build the strength and the courage to face your truth, I would keep the back knee straight and strong. If you're ready to release some of your tendencies to lie or to fib, then turn it into more of a yin posture, back knee drop, challenge yourself today. Take your left shoulder and place it behind your left calf. So your left shoulder is behind your left calf, and you want your fingertips to be wide. So almost as wide as you can get your fingertips, and you're looking forward, and you're just going to inch that back foot forward, and then try to come up into a standing split. Good, with the left shoulder behind the left calf, and that's going to give you a nice point of leverage to really press that left leg strong. Extend those right toes towards the ceiling. And as your legs grow stronger, get softer and smoother with your breath. Good. When you're ready, drop back down. We're going to come into that nice quad opener. Left hand reaches around, grabs the opposite foot. Are we having fun yet? And don't lie. Good. So hips are heavy. And as the hips drop, the heart rises. Good. When you're ready, go ahead and find your way into downward facing dog. You can move into child's pose if you'd like, or you can flow through a vinyasa, plank, chaturanga, upward facing dog. Downward facing. Okay, so we're starting to move into our bound poses and into birds of paradise. So just let the anticipation soften. Anywhere that you are feeling rushed or anxious, just let it go. You're going to lift the right leg high to the sky, open it up, big belly breath here. Virabhadrasana 2, Warrior 2. Back heel spins down. And take a moment to align your feet. The heel of your front foot is in line with the arch of your back foot. So it's like you're walking a tightrope. And then big dynamic movement up so that you can sink down into that front knee. Fingertips moving in opposite directions. Feel that expansiveness across the chest. And then let's reverse the warrior. Left hand down, right arm up. So you can place your hand anywhere but on your knee. And go a little bit deeper into that front bend so that you can spin your heart towards the sky. Go to exhale, side angle pose, bringing the forearm onto your thigh. Left arm reaches alongside the left ear. Good. You're going to press through the left heel. Good. Open up the left hip. And then one breath, opening your chest towards the ceiling. Good. Inhale, reverse the warrior once again. See if you can go one layer deeper. And then right hand's going to come on the inside of that front foot. So if you have a block, you can also take a block here. And I like to use my right tricep on the inside of my right knee. If I press my right knee back, that adds a little bit of leverage before extending my left arm alongside my left ear. Good. Okay, when you're ready, left hand's going to wrap around the small of your back and tuck on the inside of your right thigh, if available. If not, left hand towards the left hip. And really feel your feet here. Press the big toe. Press the pinky toe to the outer heel. Good. Move your tailbone towards the earth and spin your ribs towards the sky. We're going to take 2 breaths. And then if you want to go deeper, wrap your right arm underneath your right thigh. Gaze down, and then just take little baby steps with that back foot. So you're walking that back foot towards the top of your mat. Breathing with your lips closed. And then once you come into that forward fold with your feet almost together, right arm is wrapped around that right thigh, look down towards the earth, and then slowly start to find the courage to press through that left leg, come to stand. Good. Smile, it helps. And then extend that right foot towards the ceiling. So it's like that standing splits. Legs have never been more strong. Good. And it doesn't have to look perfect. Good. Amazing. Now go ahead and lower that right leg back down. Good. Release your hands towards the mat, or step and jump back to plank pose. Lower down chaturanga. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Good work. 3 deep breaths. Good, and just check in with yourself. You're looking for that boundary, right, where your body is either giving you a sincere no, so that you can back out of the posture. And what that does is it makes all of your yeses that much more meaningful, more truthful. Good. Okay, here we go, second side. So I'm just going to switch so that I don't have my back to you. Downward facing dog. Left leg lifts high to the sky. Open it up into that 3-legged dog so you can breathe into the back of your belly. And then float that foot through in between the hands. Back foot spins down, Virabhadrasana to Warrior 2. And then just fully arrive in your body. Moving your fingertips in opposite directions to create that space in the heart. And then we're going to reverse our warrior. And bring your breath to those contracted parts in your body. The light of your breath. Exhale, side angle pose. Bring your forearm to your thigh and reach that right arm alongside the right ear. On the inhale, reverse the warrior. On the exhale, with a block, bring your hand on the inside of that front foot. And extend your right arm alongside your right ear. And usually we need to lengthen our stance. So very often the stance is too short. So take your back foot and really reach it towards the back of your mat so you can bend deep into a 90-degree angle of that front knee. Good. Wrap your right arm around the small of your back. Maybe tuck it on the inside so that you can spin the heart open. And then for those of you who are going for the bind, wrap that left arm under your left calf or your left hamstring and grab a hold of your right wrist. Big toe to inner heel, pinky toe to outer heel. Tailbone moves towards the earth, spin your heart open towards the sky. We're going to bring our gaze down towards the mat and inch that right foot towards the top until you come into a forward fold at the front of your mat. And take a few breaths here to ground and center your energy. And then shift the weight into that right foot. On your inhale, slowly, slowly, slowly come up to stand. And use the strength of your legs here to open the heart. And then eventually kick that left leg towards the sky. Birds of paradise. Easy breathing. If you're trembling, that's good. And then lowering that left foot down towards the mat. Release the bind. Step or jump back to plank. Chaturanga. Upward facing dog. Back to downward facing dog. Good. 3 deep breaths. As you're breathing here, just begin to hear yourself differently. Just releasing any sort of attachment, any sort of bind you have to impressing another person. The need to not be truthful or transparent. The need to hide. Just let that go. Take the right leg high to the sky and float that right foot in between the hands and turn towards the side of your mat so you're wide-legged forward fold. Toes are slightly turned in. And any variation here, you can walk your hands through, palms facing down. You can grab a hold of the big toes with your first 2 fingers. Pull the elbows in opposite direction. And if it feels good, you can bend into that right knee. Bend into that left knee and just find a nice sway of movement between the inhale and the exhale. Keep digging your feet into the earth. Lifting that solidarity into your heart so that you can fully love who you are. Good. We're going to release. Come back into downward facing dog. And then floating that foot through all the way into pigeon pose. Just take a moment here to tuck your back toes and take your hands on either side of that front knee and hug your knees in towards one another so you really start to pull that power and that energy up into the pelvic floor. Walk your hands back, feel that opening in the heart. And then once you really connect to that courage, go ahead and walk the hands forward, coming into reclining pigeon. Just allow your lips to slightly open, breathing in and out of the mouth here. This is said to burn karma. On the inhale, walking the hands up. Now put your weight in your right hip and swing your left leg around, setting up for cow-faced Gomukhasana. So your knees are stacked and your feet are moving away from your hips. If you want to sit on a block, that helps create a little bit of space. I'm going to sweep our arms up, bend our right elbow, and you can pull that right elbow into the midline, or you can take your left hand and reach around the back and clasp your fingers. And then use your head to press into your hands so that you feel that opening in the front of their body. Two more deep breaths. Just feeling into what it is to hold this very honest space for yourself. Gently release the arms. Flex your fingers back towards your face. And then relax. there are two ways to come out of Gomukhasana. You can lean forward onto your toes. If your left leg's on top, you'll spin to your right so that now your opposite leg's on top. You can also move through headstand. So to do headstand, you're just going to come forward, put your head on the ground, lift your legs up, and then cross the legs again. Place them back down on the ground so that now your left leg is on top. And you deepen the posture by moving your feet further away from your hips, keeping your feet flexed. And then we're going to sweep our arms up towards the sky. Bend your left elbow and pull that elbow in towards the midline. And if you want to go further, reach your right arm around and grab your fingers behind your back. And turn it into a back bend, using the bottom tips of your shoulder blade to press into the back of your heart. Slowly release the hands, flex your fingers up, press through the heel. And we're going to rock forward and just extend the right leg back so that we can come into pigeon pose, second side. Keep your back toes tucked. Fingertips on either side of that front leg. And then hug your knees together. You want to draw that energy from the earth up into the pelvic floor. And then draw that courage into the heart. You're building that inner relationship, that self-trust. And on the exhale, fold forward into reclining pigeon. Paschimottanasana. So I'm sitting on a cushion. Your welcome to place a bolster under your knees, or you can go without. But find that internal rotation of the legs so that the pelvic floor is open. Press down through the legs and the hands, open the heart. You want to feel that expansion of truth in your body. And then as you exhale, just fold forward. And spin this forward fold, just acknowledging what contractions dishonesty brings into your body. Tightness of jaw, frowning of the brow, a sick feeling in your gut. So where do you feel that dishonesty? Stay with that expansiveness, that truth, that realness. And then go ahead and make our way down into Shavasana. So I'm going to place a bolster under my knees. I'll just be here for about 5 minutes. And take up as much space as you can. So no more playing small. Slowly begin to deepen your breathing. Wiggle your toes. Roll your ankles. And draw our knees into our chest. You're going to roll to your right side. Just take a moment of pause. And slowly press yourself up to a comfortable seat. If you have your frankincense, you're more than welcome to take another smell. Just cleansing the darkness. And then just place your hands anywhere on your body that has meaning. And just use the affirmative statement. I release any fibbing. I release any way that I manipulate or fake my true feelings. I reveal my truth. I release places where I am not fully real. I reveal my truth. I reveal my truth. And then bring your hands over your heart and just feel that vulnerability in your body. The vulnerability is really an essential strength that's going to bring you to that heightened sense of realness in your body. And to you I bow. Namaste. Oh, you should be really proud. You made it to the end. Thank you so much for giving it everything. We're back into Vinyasa now. You're sweaty. Chatrine is sweaty. Nice. Good. I think for the rest of the week, what would be really nice, if you have a copy of Angelus, there's different waves that you could drop into. This is like a nice quick 10-minute portion you could do. If you want to go a little bit deeper, maybe by the third or fourth day, you drop into one of these waves. And then you always can end it with the forward fold that we did. So continue your work this week with Vinyasa, continuing that strengthening through the feet and through the legs. Notice how that gives you more courage to walk down paths that you would normally veer away from. And this is about building that inner relationship. It has nothing to do with your external relationships, but this is asking, how do I begin to trust myself? And I have some journaling prompts that I'll send you in a follow-up email with the recording and with the playlist. But is there anything anybody would like to share before we close today?
I want to share a deep gratitude for the reminder of all the resistance that can come up in this work, being more and more truthful, and how beautiful it was to see it so clearly. Thank you so much. I was quite challenged at times, and I could really be with, is this in my physical body, or is the challenge going on in my emotions or my mind or my memories that are being awakened as we move? It was really powerful, so thank you.
I like that question, whether it's a mental, emotional, or physical challenge. Because no doubt, as soon as you are accused of lying, your entire legal defense team comes in with a nice rebuttal on why you had to lie. And our shadow side doesn't really reveal itself until it's ready to be gone. And a lot of times it fights hard on those last few moments, especially when it knows it's going to be eradicated.
And also when the challenger is ourself.
When what? When
the challenger, when the energy of questioning comes from within ourselves. Even both the challenge and the defense is within myself. It's really powerful. I love the bath.
Anyone else?
Erica?
Yes.
I just wanted to share that, like, I find this truth telling, particularly to myself, so powerful. The thing that has really helped me, because I do have a self-aggressive tendency that wants to come in against my truth, is to remind myself that, like me, like everybody else, that we're endlessly loved and lovable just as we are. And that has just helped so, I mean, it's been a huge week. I can't wait to tell you about it, but I'll save that for later.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Oh. Well, that touched really deep. You're perfect as you are. You're loved.
Infinitely.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for that reminder, Kevin.
Thank you.
Katie, you're feeling triggered. Where are you? Yeah. Do you feel like you want to share more, or is sharing in chat enough?
Yeah, so typically yoga is very like alleviating for me. And today I felt very anxious and triggered, specifically when you ask, like, where are you telling even yourself little lies? And I'm kind of like digging because I know it's there, but it's almost like I can't even admit to myself that I'm doing that. So I'm like searching in my brain and can't access it. And I felt physically today like a lot of I wanted to give up. Like I backed off a lot and then would come back into it thinking like, why am I backing off? Like I can, and I wonder if I do that a lot in just my day-to-day life. Like if things get a little bit too sticky, I'm like, so that was it.
And how do you feel now giving that a voice?
Still kind of the same, I guess, just because like I don't feel resolve. And I don't really know the next step to accessing whatever it is I'm trying to access within myself. So maybe a little frustrated and confused, and but also hopeful that just you bringing an awareness to that it's now something that I can look for, So.
Yeah, and this week I would go really slow with this topic and just have little ways of documenting where those fibs or those manipulations want to come in. I mean, it could be as simple as you getting back from the store and you bought something for yourself and then you tell your partner it was on sale. I mean, it could be something that you laugh at. There's got to be a sense of humor because you're not the only one who does that,
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And it can range from something as innocent as saying something was on sale because you don't want someone to know how much you spent, to something as deep and dark as where I came from with my eating disorder.
Mm-hmm.
And I can imagine and remember those moments where that addiction was my best friend, and without that addiction, how was I going to face the world? And it was a 3-year process. So
Yeah,
it's the process.
I think it's, you say that, and I think I have a difficult time trusting other people, and it's probably more of a trust issue with myself. And also like, if I don't trust anyone, I never have to rely on anyone. And then when you say, your shadow side, I think I have a very strong reaction when people lie to me, because I've been lied to a lot. And so now it's like I can't even take a little bit. And I think when you talk about, I've read The Dark Side of the Light Chasers by Debbie, is it Ford? Debbie Ford. But her kind of perspective on that is, if you're having such a strong, deep reaction to something, it's really probably that same thing within yourself. If you held up a mirror and like, you're probably like, if I have such a strong reaction to someone else lying to me, it very well is that I'm lying to myself about something that I'm not admitting yet. And I think that's maybe where my frustration and anxiety comes from, because I don't really know what that is at this point. Mm-hmm. But you feel like the undercurrent, but you just can't put your finger on it.
I think a lot of people are relating to that. And I know too from my own things that, being in a relationship with someone who was cheating on me and putting all the blame on them, when in reality, I couldn't handle his truth. Mm-hmm. So I was creating that cheating myself. And I think that was my lesson in what you were saying before, is that there's a part of us that's a match to it. Mm-hmm. And that's why I love the title of her book, Maybe It's You. Yeah. And it is you. And this is how we are redirecting our attention and our focus on our behaviors, on what we can do. And I know without a doubt that you're going to have the courage, physically, mentally, emotionally, to face whatever it is that's ready to be faced.
Thank you.
And we all love you. We're all here supporting you.
Thank you.
And thank you for shining that light in us as well. Mm-hmm. So we can take a deep breath. And it is good to just track the little small lies this week. Take the journaling prompts when you can. First thing in the morning, right before bed, at mealtime, whenever is that little pocket to start to gain clarity. That's what journaling does. It brings clarity. And then sneak in a vinyasa practice here and there. 10 minutes is amazing. That's all you need. And if you have time to do the entire sequence, right, then enjoy it. And we'll come next week for a restorative and more work in this as well, to help guide us into some of those deeper, more scary places. It was about retelling our stories, about applying the boundaries that we've been practicing. And it's all going to end happy and well, as it always does. So thank you guys so much for your courage. I love you. I appreciate you. I'm here if you have any questions, just email me. And I'll see you in 7 days. Thank you. I'll unmute you all as we say goodbye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.